Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of a new series I am calling In the Red. As of 2021, there were over 10,000 new games released on Steam each year, and that number keeps going up. With that amount, there's bound to be some really bad games out there. But what exactly makes a game bad? Glitches, unfulfilled expectations, boring gameplay, and or story, or is it all of the above combined? In this series, I will be visiting some of the worst rated games released throughout history, aka ones in the red, and seeing if they really deserved that low of a rating. I recently asked people on Twitter what the worst game they ever played was, and almost all of them were actually games that were more in the yellow or in the green, based on Metacritic's little color system, which aggregates a bunch of reviews, as you probably know. So if those are the worst games that they have played, what is a game that was reviewed really poorly like? For the first episode, we will be taking a look at Painkiller Redemption, which has a red score on Metacritic of 3.1 and is listed as having mixed reviews on Steam. Now, unfortunately, it is not the lowest rated Painkiller game. That is Painkiller Resurrection, but after reading some of those reviews, it was deemed almost unplayable on PC by a lot of people, and that wouldn't really make for a fun video if I couldn't actually play the game. So, I have never played anything from the Painkiller series. I am going into this with no expectations based on, the first game or release content trailers, nothing. I hardly even read reviews for this one. I just saw what they were generally scored and a couple headlines. So, is this game actually a bad game? I'm going to play through it, share any funny moments or issues we run into, and give my final thoughts. So, this is obviously the first episode, so let me know what you think of the format, anything that you would like to see, any games you would like to see, and how I can improve it in the future. When I first started the game, I picked a difficulty that was on the higher end, and it wasn't really helping me get through the game. It was a nice challenge, but I was trying to see if the game is good or bad, and it was slowing me down a little. So I switched to a lower difficulty so I could get further faster. Turn my headset down a little. What the heck am I getting into? So I reset, did the recommended difficulty, and I streamed some of that. From time to time I stream on Twitch, not so much anymore, but for the people watching and myself, it started to become pretty clear why there were some negative reviews. Mostly negative reviews. Oh my god. They're still coming.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn, no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up.
The checkpoint is right there. I guess that makes sense. What the hell is this? You're fucking joking, right? Literally just trapped you in a corner. Wait. How do you activate this? It makes no sense. Look at how many enemies are just fucking cramped in here. Fuck! I can't see! That fucking damage over time. But I'm going to try to progress a little further in it, get some more outside of stream footage to show you, and then I have a little bit of a breakdown of why I don't think this type of thing works, and explaining why, yes, this one maybe deserved to be reviewed poorly, but let's give it a third attempt. Maybe some of these further levels get a little better. Let's see. So we just made it through a section where we were basically trapped in a room. This looks like it could be pretty open, so that's promising. But most likely what's going to happen is a situation where we're trapped in another room. And I can kind of tell what's going to happen here, because once we hit this ground, we're going to be in just this. Oh, and look, enemies are coming and we're trapped in this little area. Is there another wave? Oh my god. More waves, more waves, more waves! All in this tiny room. And another wave. And another! And another! And another wave! And another wave! Wow, the wave didn't spawn because I was in that demon mode or whatever it is. Oh. You kind of just get fatigued with it at some point, and it's less about being hard and more about just overwhelmed by monotony. Okay, so I was gonna try to get through this room to kind of see if there's anything else. The water part kills you. You are literally stuck on this little slab of concrete. You can't even go in the water. Oh my gosh. All right, so I'm officially done. I don't think I really need to play more of this to get an idea of why it has poor reviews and if it should or shouldn't. I played about 3.5 hours by now, and I think the basis of the game could be good, and that's maybe why the first Painkiller actually has good reviews, and there's one or two other titles in the series that have good reviews, some even great reviews, but this one doesn't. I'm going to look at the Steam page and kind of go over some of my thoughts and show you why I think this is misleading, which mainly is the reason for some of the negative reviews. Okay, so this is the Steam page for Painkiller Redemption. This is where I came to purchase it, basically. And how I picked the game is I was just searching through different, games I've never played, different series I've never played, came across this one and saw some headlines and the fact that it was poorly reviewed. So I thought, oh, this looks like a game I would enjoy. This is a perfect first episode. So I read through everything here. I see that there's a whole collection. You start reading about the game, new campaign, more bloodshed, more action, more dense maps and sick enemies, all new maps, 2 familiar heroes, improved graphics, blah blah blah. And that's how they sell you the game, right? After playing it for the first hour, I was like, there's gotta be something. Why is it this way? So I look it up, and for this series and a lot of the other videos I do, I go in with as little knowledge as possible so that I don't have any bias or any preconceived notions, things like that. But that can also lead to not knowing certain things. But I think even with my lack of knowledge on Painkiller, it's misleading to sell a product this way. From my understanding and quick research, Painkiller Redemption was actually a mod that was created, and then they turned it into a full game release. So things on Painkiller Redemption that are good, like the weapons, it runs fine for a game of its age, it looks fine. Some of the enemies are cool, it doesn't seem like a bad base to a game. But this one specifically is very empty and very repetitive. And I don't know if it's like this in the original Painkiller, but I was super disappointed to switch over to the second character and realize all the weapons are exactly the same, just reskinned or using a different element. Instead of turning an enemy to stone, you're freezing them. Instead of shooting a wooden stake, you're shooting crossbow arrows. They're literally all the same. Even the main character weapon, where one character you're a demon, the other you're just some dude, they do the same exact thing. One spins and chops, and the other is like a laser that you guide around, sort of. Disappointing. In the end, I think if this was released as an add-on or something that was just a mod or an extra DLC to the original game, it actually might not have been that bad, because when you're downloading a mod or just a little add-on, it's not that big of a deal. But they sold this as a standalone title, and it does not work that way. And I'll show you how I know that they did it this way. Just watch this. So right here on Wiki, you can see that there's a list of expansions. And right there you see Painkiller Redemption. And you can see who made it, Eggtooth Team. They made the original mod. I think it was one of the only things they had done at the time. And it says right here, standalone expansion. So it was released as a standalone expansion. And Painkiller Battle Out of Hell requires the base game, which would make sense, you click on Painkiller Redemption here, looking at this here, it says it's similar to Overdose, and it was a new expansion pack, originally a mod created by a small group of fans under the label Eggtooth. And then they decide to, make it an official thing, get it published, do a full release for it. And I think that is the key problem with a lot of issues with this. And in closing and wrapping everything up, I will explain why I think that's a big issue, and then just real quick tell you again why I don't think it's worth it to play this one. So I also don't know why the scores for Redemption aren't listed over here under critical reception, but you can see the other title they mentioned that just started as a mod, Overdose, had a 65% compared to an 82% on game rankings for the original Painkiller and an 81 on Metacritic. Obviously, it didn't work out. So to put a pretty little bow on this whole thing and give my reasons why I think this was a poor decision, leading to it having bad reviews, I think it all just comes down to, if this was a mod, an add-on that you access through the original game, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But then again, it wouldn't have made the publishers more money, I felt very lost going into this game. The only story you get is a small scrolling text about where the story is at. The only tutorial you get at all is how to switch weapons. Doesn't explain any of the weapons. It doesn't explain that weird demon mode you go into. None of that. So that made it really hard. It didn't tell me any other key bindings than 1, 2, 3, 4 to switch weapons. And that made it hard. That, coupled with the fact that it is just a repetitive room after room, wave after wave, just the same thing over and over, makes it really not worth spending money on. When I was streaming it, we watched the trailer for the original Painkiller, and there were a lot of things in there that you cannot do in this game. There was a lot of environmental destruction, like pulling things down or, blowing things up so that it actually changed the map a little bit. This only has explosive barrels, as well as a lot more variety, it seemed, in the original Painkiller. So if you want to play a game like this, I would suggest just starting with the very first Painkiller, or, Serious Sam. I enjoy some of the Serious Sam titles. They're usually a lot of fun, and you usually feel like you're progressing through the map. There were various points in this game where I would sit through 10 minutes of waves of enemies to go through into a room and have the gates close and be stuck in another square and do it all over again. Even people watching the stream were like, wow. And that is not too exciting, but anyways, I tend to rant when I'm just going off the top of my head, so that should give you enough information. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what other games are in the red that you would like to see me give a shot and play through a little bit and then give my thoughts. I thought I would play this more. I thought I would almost maybe even beat it, but it's just not worth it with how repetitive it is. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. It does tell me which videos I should make more of. So thanks for watching.